Hello, everybody. It's Paul Nison with Torah Life Ministries. Thank you for joining me. We are continuing to read the scriptures live as we do every day. We are up to the second chapter in the book of Jonah, and we're going to open up with the Shema found in Deuteronomy 6:4-9. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, Baruch Shem Kivo, Mahutov, Leolam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our Elohim, Yahweh is one. Blessed is the name of his glorious kingdom for all eternity. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And have these words which I command you this day be upon your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, and speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you retire, and when you arise. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and let them be frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Amen. Amen. All right, we are up to the second chapter of the book of Jonah, as we just said here. And we're continuing every day to read these scriptures here together live. So thank you for joining me. Now for chapter 1 of the book of Jonah, or chapter 2, we have this prelude that says, "This is a prayer of thanksgiving, not a prayer for deliverance." Jonah was simply thankful that he had not drowned. He was delivered in a most spectacular way and was overwhelmed that he had escaped certain death. Even from inside the fish, Jonah's prayer was heard by Yahweh. We can pray anyway or anywhere at any time, and Yahweh will hear us. Your sin is never too great for your predicament, never too difficult for Yahweh. And basically, we see here, verse 1 says, "Then Jonah prayed to Yahweh, his Elohim, from inside the fish." So he prayed from inside the fish. And for these next 7 verses, the note here says here, Jonah said, "As my life was slipping away, I remembered Yahweh." Often we act the same way. When life is going well, we tend to take Yahweh for granted. But when we lose hope, we cry out to him. This kind of relationship with Yahweh can result only in an inconsistent up and down spiritual life. A consistent daily commitment to Yahweh promotes a solid relationship with him. Look to Yahweh during both the good and the bad times, and you will have a stronger spiritual life. Amen. Amen. So now we look at verse 2, and it's not a big chapter today, but so important. It says, "He said, I cried out to Yahweh in my great trouble, and he answered me. I called to you from the land of the dead, and Yahweh, you heard me." And in the Aramaic idiom for this, when he says this here, is, out of the belly of hell I cried, Jonah. It says, while I was in a difficult and dilemma, I cried for help. That's what it means in the Aramaic translation of that. So here he sets a great example, and this, folks, you have to believe is a true story. It seems unbelievable to us that something like this could happen, but look at the principle of it as well, or regardless of how it might seem to you. Verse 3, "You threw me into the ocean depths, and I sank down to the heart of the sea. The mighty waters engulfed me. I was buried beneath your wild and stormy waves. Then I said, O Yahweh, you have driven me from your presence. Yet I will look once more toward you, your holy temple. I sank beneath the waves, and the waters closed over me. Seaweed wrapped itself around my head. I sank down to the very roots of the mountains. I was imprisoned in the earth, whose gates locked shut forever. But you, O Yahweh, my Elohim, snatched me up from the jaws of death." Verse 7, "As my life was slipping away, I remembered Yahweh, and my earnest prayer went out to you in your holy temple." And in the Hebraic root scriptures for verse 7, it says, "The bars of the earth are the gates of the underworld that will forever keep him from dry land." That was the note there for verse 7. And verse 8 says, But I will offer sacrifices to you with songs of praise, and I will fulfill all my vows. For my salvation comes from Yahweh alone. Amen. 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 What a humble, repentant person Jonah was in this situation. And he knew who to run to. He knew the only one that could save him and the only one that could rescue him. And so it says in verse 8, those who worship false gods turn their backs on all of Yahweh's mercies. And it says here in verse 8 and 9, the note says, those who worship worthless idols, false gods, forfeit Yahweh's peace and abandon any hope for mercy from Yahweh. Any object of our devotion that replaces Yahweh is a lying vanity. We deceive ourselves with something that is ultimately empty and foolish. Make sure that nothing takes Yahweh's rightful place in your life. Amen. Amen. And then for verse 9, he says, obviously Jonah was not in a position to bargain with Yahweh. Instead, he simply thanked Yahweh for saving his life. Our troubles should cause us to cling tightly to Yahweh, not attempt to bargain our way out of this pain. We can thank and praise Yahweh for what he has already done for us and for his love and mercy. Amen. Amen. And there's a great book I want to recommend called From Prison to Praise. From Prison to Praise, about being thankful for all Yahweh gives us and blesses us with. Another note for verse 9 says, it took a miracle of deliverance to get Jonah to do Yahweh's good, what Yahweh had commanded. As a prophet, Jonah was obligated to obey Yahweh's word, but he had tried to escape his responsibilities. At this time, he pledged to fulfill his vow. Jonah's story began with a treaty, but a greater tragedy. But a greater tragedy would have happened if Yahweh had allowed him to keep running. When you know Yahweh wants you to do something, don't run. Yahweh may not stop you as he did Jonah. Amen. Amen. And as we said, it's a small chapter today. In verse 9 here in one of my Bible, it says, vanities are literally vapor of breath as symbols of worthless, vain things. That is verse 9 in chapter 2. And that's chapter 2 of this great book of Jonah. One of those popular stories from the original covenant out there. And let's close with the Aaronic benediction this morning, found in Deuteronomy Numbers 6:24 to 26. Yurifkaka, Yahweh, Vivishmarikaka, Yo'er Yahweh, Panana, Alaka, Vikanika, Yosi Yahweh, Panana, Alaka, Yasemaka, Shalom. Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. All right, everybody, remember today that Yahweh died for you, and tell other people, Yeshua died for you, tell other people that, and pray, praise, proclaim, read and repent, submit. Go out there and set a good example, and get the word out, folks. Get the word out. All right. Yahweh willing, we'll be back tomorrow reading the next chapter of Jonah here. Please, if you're not subscribed to this channel, subscribe. Torah Life Ministries here on YouTube, and let others know about it. Have a blessed day out there, everybody, and shalom, shalom.